So some Fairfax County sellers right now are getting multiple offers over asking price within their first week on the market. Other sellers in the exact same county, the exact same month, are sitting for 3, 4, 5 weeks with price cuts. You got the same market, the same data, but completely different outcomes. If you've been trying to figure out whether Fairfax County is still the right move in 2026, whether to buy, whether to sell, or whether to wait, I want to show you why the answer depends entirely on which number you're looking at. And most people are looking at the wrong one. I'm Ivan. I cover all of Northern Virginia, and Fairfax County specifically is a market I watch very closely. It's just the most competitive, most expensive, and frankly, one of the most misread counties in the region right now. What I want to do is this. I want to walk you through what the 2026 data actually says, not the headline version, but the full picture, so that whatever decision you're trying to make, you're making it with the right information. We're going to cover what's happening with pricing, what the price reduction numbers actually mean, what pending sales are telling us about where this market is going, and who specifically has an advantage in Fairfax right now. Now, a quick note before we get into it. I put together free guides for both buyers and sellers in Northern Virginia. The links are in the description below and in the pinned comment. So grab whichever one fits your situation and let's get into this. All right, now let's start with the number everyone just keeps getting wrong. Now, the number that's getting the most attention in Fairfax County right now is this. 15% of active listings have had price reductions. And if you have ever seen that number, I understand why it would give you pause. If you're a seller, you might be thinking, is the market softening? Is now the wrong time? If you're a buyer, you might be thinking, wait, should I just wait a little bit more? Are prices about to drop? Here's what that number actually means though, right? It doesn't mean the Fairfax market is declining. It means sellers who overprice their homes are getting corrected by the market. And that's a healthy, normal thing. That's actually something we should be having more often. That's the market working exactly the way that it's supposed to. Look at what's happening alongside that number. Your list to sale price ratio in Fairfax is sitting at 100%. That means correctly priced homes and homes that came to the market at the right number are selling at full asking price, or most of the time even more. Now let's talk about where Fairfax market actually is heading, because the price reduction conversation is backwards looking. Pending sales tell us just what's coming. Fairfax County pending sales are up 3.6% year over year. In a county with a median price of $720,000, in a rate environment sitting at 6.81%, buyers are still signing contracts at a higher rate than they were a year ago. So think about what that means for a second. These are not people who have had easy decisions to make. At $720,000 with 20% down, you're looking at a mortgage north of $3,700 a month before your taxes and insurance. These buyers have done the math, they have weighed their options, and they're still moving forward. That tells you something real about the underlying demand in Fairfax County. People just want to be here. They want the schools, the commute access, the stability that comes with owning one of the most sought after counties in the entire DC corridor. And that desire isn't going away because rates are at 6.8. The buyers who are signing contracts right now are not waiting, and the inventory they're buying isn't waiting for you either. Active inventory in Fairfax is at 100,936 units at 1.9 months of supply. Let me put it simply. That's not a tight market. It's not zero inventory, but it's not a buyer's paradise either. The homes worth buying are still moving very quickly. Days on market is averaging 21 days in Fairfax. That's enough time to be thoughtful, but not enough time to drag your feet. And something I want to be clear on, for a healthy market, 6 months of supply is usually the norm. We're at 1.9. That means we have less than even a third of what we should have for a healthy market. Now, I want to address rates directly because it's the question I get more than any other right now. The 30-year fixed rate as of May 22nd is 6.81%. 4 weeks ago, it was 6.61%. It moved 20 basis points in a single month, and that's not nothing. At $720,000 purchase with 20% down, that 20 basis points is gonna add about $80 to your payments. Now, annually, that's nearly $1,000 more than it would have cost you 4 weeks ago. I'm not telling you that to create panic at all. I'm telling you because I think buyers deserve to know the real math. Not just the rate number, but what it actually does to the monthly payment at the price points we're talking about in Fairfax. Now, here's what matters more than the current rate. Jumbo rates, which kick in for loan amounts above the conforming limit, are sitting at 7.0 to 7.7% right now. A significant portion of Fairfax County buyers are in the jumbo territory because the price points are just very high here. So if that's your situation, that's a number worth knowing about before you start shopping. So who actually has leverage in Fairfax County right now? Sellers. If you own correctly priced homes in good conditions, you have leverage. The demand is very much there. The inventory is tight, and buyers who are ready to move are ready to pay. Buyers who are pre-approved, prepared, and working with someone who knows how to structure an offer in this market also have leverage, because a meaningful portion of buyers are still sitting on the sidelines waiting for conditions that may not arrive on the timeline that they expect. I've recently had clients tell me they've been waiting for rates to drop over the last 5 years, and instead of dropping, prices have gone up, and they're still just renting. If you're thinking about it, it is really time to talk with somebody that knows what they're doing. Here's an actual directional read I'll give you based on what the data is showing. The gap between correctly priced homes and overpriced homes in Fairfax is going to widen through the summer. Inventory trends are starting to diverge county by county. Sellers who price right in the next 60 days have a window that I think gets more competitive as we move into fall. I really don't think we're moving into a crash. I think we're headed into a market where pricing mistakes get punished faster, and that's a meaningful distinction if you're trying to time this. Now, let me talk to buyers directly for a minute. If you're looking at Fairfax County, whether you're relocating from out of state, whether you're already in Northern Virginia and trying to move up, whether you've been watching this market for 6 months trying to find the right moment, here's what I want you to understand. $720,000 is the median. That means that half the market is above and half the market is below. There are entry points in Fairfax at price points that work for a range of budgets. It's not a monolithic number that applies to every neighborhood and every buyer type equally. Meaning you will find homes that are cheaper and you will definitely find homes that are more expensive. The buyers that I see succeed in this market are the ones who came in prepared, pre-approved, not just pre-qualified, clear on what they actually need versus what would be maybe nice to have. And someone who will tell them the difference between a home that is priced right and one that's been sitting because it's overpriced. Because in Fairfax right now, that distinction really matters. One thing I want you to think about if you're a relocator specifically. The question isn't just whether Fairfax County is right for you. The question is whether Fairfax is right for you compared to Loudoun and Prince William. That's given your budget, your commute, your school priorities. That's a conversation I walk through in the guide in the description. It covers the full county comparison so you can make that call with real numbers. And the question for anyone watching, are you currently looking at Fairfax County specifically, or are you comparing it against other counties? Drop it in the comments. I read all of them and I really want to answer them. Now, for the sellers, if you own a home in Fairfax County right now, and especially if you've been sitting on that ownership for 3, 5, 7 years, you have built something real. The equity position in this county for homeowners who have bought in the 2018 to 2022 window is significant. It's not an abstraction, that's actual money sitting in your home right now, just not working for you. The question I get from sellers in this position is always some version of, it's not the right time. And the data honestly gives me a clear answer for Fairfax specifically. The spring market is very active. Closed sales are up 3.39% year over year. Pending sales are rising. Inventory is tight. The buyers who are in this market right now are serious. They have accepted the rate environment and they are moving. The window that I think represents the best seller conditions in Fairfax is the next 60 days. Not because the market falls apart after that, but because summer inventory typically increases, which means more competition for your listing. Right now, you have a relatively few correctly priced homes competing for a pool of motivated, prepared buyers. And you gotta think about it, right? Especially if you're moving up, most of the reason for you to move up is because your kids are outgrowing the home that you're in. But I'm willing to bet the majority of you are also waiting until the summer to be able to list the home so that your kids aren't gonna be moving schools. There are ways to work around it for a couple weeks until summer hits and you're able to go away. But if you're able to list your home now, you skip that rush that's gonna come with the summer of every parent trying to do the same and trying to move their home before their kids have to go into school the next year. So just be prepared, think about it. So realistically, and that's the truth, if you've been thinking about it, if you've had the conversation with your family, if you know the next chapter involves a different home, the data right now works extremely in your favor. The question is whether you're priced correctly when you go to market. And that's the only variable that separates the sellers who close in 2 weeks from the ones who sit for 2 months. And if you want to know what your specific home will realistically sell for in today's Fairfax market, not as estimate, not a range, but an actual analysis, the link for that in the description below and in the pinned comment below. Let's take a look. So, Is Fairfax County still worth it in 2026? Here is my honest read. For sellers who price correctly, yes, without question. The demand is there, the inventory is on your side, and the buyers in this market are ready to move. Price it right and you will sell. For buyers who are prepared and working with the right people, yes, it's not a market that rewards hesitation, and it's not a market that punishes preparation either. The homes worth buying are still there, you just have to know what you're looking for. For anyone who's been on the fence, watching rates, reading headlines, trying to find the perfect moment, I push back gently on the idea that the perfect moment is coming. What I see consistently in this market is that the buyers who waited 6 months for rate to drop often found that the home they wanted went up in price instead. The math rarely works out the way it was supposed to make it work. If you're a buyer thinking you're trying to figure out whether Fairfax makes sense for your budget and situation, the guide in the description walks through the full Northern Virginia picture, county by county. Grab it, it's free. If you're a seller and you want a real number on what your home is worth in this market, that analysis is also in the description. No pressure, no commitment, but just a number. And if this was useful, the best thing you can do is share it with someone who you know is trying to figure out the Fairfax market right now. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.